Hello, my name's Ali Pitts, but this is not a regular episode of the Russian and Soviet Movie Podcast. I'm actually here to introduce an episode of the fantastic All the Best Lines podcast on Ernst Lubitsch's 1939 film Ninotchka that I guested on back in summer 2021. I had a great time talking to Adam and Smokey about this brilliant and satirical romantic comedy, so I wanted to share it with you on this feed. Okay, without further ado, here's the episode.
Go to bed, little father. We want to be alone. Your general appearance is not distasteful.
Thank you.
The whites of your eyes are clear. Your cornea is excellent.
Your cornea is terrific.
Привет, everybody. It's Adam here from All the Best Lines. Lovely to be in your ear holes again and
Wow.
ear holes-inski, because today we're in Russia. Our guest is cringing already. I'm very sorry about that. We have a lovely special guest, but first of all, of course, here's my good friend Ali. How are you? All right?
I'm doing all right.
I'm joking. Smokey, of course. How are you? You're right.
Nostrovia, my friend. How are you?
Ah, man. I had to ask the guest, who is very familiar with Russia. You're all going to love this guy, by the way, for a Russian word. But Smokey was bang on it. He's got them all on a whiteboard in front of his face.
No,
good.
I've just seen
Phonetically
Hunt for Red October a few times, that's all.
Oh, yeah, and Sean Connery's masterful Russian accent. Yeah.
Well,
It's fine, I'm from Lithuania.
It's fine. I'm from Egypt in this.
it's as good as his Irish in The Untouchables, so...
Yes.
Get out of here, you... Yeah.
Can't
say that word
nicely,
anymore, can I?
nicely, no, you can't. Nicely edited there, right?
Nicely self-edited. I almost went there as well. But anyway, it's amazing to be in your company. We have a special guest today, Smokey. Do you want to introduce the chap?
We do. It's Ali Pitt from the Russophiles. I can never pronounce your podcast properly. I do apologise, but it is from the Russophiles podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Thank you very much, Comrade Bernard and Comrade Deirdre, for having me on.
So look at that. That's a man who does his research. It's we should have done it as well. It's Russophiles Unite. Am I right?
Sorry, I do apologise.
That's the one. That's the one.
I've had the pleasure of appearing on the show.
Yeah, but Bernard and Deirdre, yeah, I like that it's catching on though, Deirdre, don't you?
I like Bernard and Deirdre. They sound like a nice couple down the working man's club. You know?
Yeah.
What about 50 for a brandy? You go off. That's Bernard. That's Bernard for you.
Yeah.
Deirdre just sits there scratching her.
Hey.
What? That's me. What do you mean? You're married to me. You married this.
And you never let me forget it, do you? Sorry, Ali, we can't do this. Okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
Anyway, Ali is the master of all things Russian, especially when it comes to movies. Ali, do you want to tell us about your show and why you chose it?
Yeah, so my podcast is about Russian and Soviet films and films with a Russian connection. So occasionally I cover stuff that's not made in Russia but has some kind of Russian angle to it, which is how you, Adam, ended up being on the show a little while back. As I made you watch a film that was twice the length of your, film comfort length.
I'm so glad you said film comfort length. I appeared on your wonderful show to talk about War and Peace with Audrey Hepburn, which was very timely because I was just in the middle of, I just released it, I think, an Audrey Hepburn series that I made. And I remember thinking she was by far the best thing in that. And I was also...
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
I was also blown away by the scale of the thing. There are certain shots in that film where you just can't believe there are that many people in the world, let alone that many people on a film set being directed to walk in a snaking line across a landscape.
It's very, very impressive. But since I watched that, I've seen the Soviet version from the 60s because I think they felt that Hollywood doing a version was kind of throwing down the gauntlet. So they were like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to make it more than 7 hours long. And yeah, if you think the crowd scenes and the battle scenes are impressive in the Hollywood version, the Soviet version, they just threw all the money at it.
Did they have more authentic accents in there?
A little bit.
I remember being particularly horrified by Henry Fonda.
Oh my goodness, he is so wooden in that film.
It's just he doesn't even bother, does he, to try and disguise or try and put on any kind of accent or even pronounce the name. What's your name? Comrade. It was quite hideous.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to say, you guys are selling me it. I mean, wow.
I'll tell you what, if you ever want to swoon over Audrey Hepburn, I think there are a few films that you just look at her and you can't actually concentrate on the film because you're just so spellbound by her ethereal presence. And I think Roman Holiday, Sabrina, and War and Peace for me, definitely. And Love in the Afternoon to an extent. But you just watch those films and you're just like, you get to the end credits, you're like, what happened in that film? I don't even see any of the story, but
just swooning the whole way through.
Yes, it took me 4 days to get through War and Peace, and I had to watch it again because I didn't really understand what had happened in the story. But anyway, it's lovely to have you on the show. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It is absolutely wonderful. So, obviously, that means this is why you picked Ninotchka for us to view. Because
it is indeed,
Russian
because
connection.
it has a Russian connection. Yeah.
Wonderful. Would I be right in saying, Adam, that you were not massively thrilled by this choice?
So, right. So when I first started watching old films and getting really into them, I bought a Greta Garbo box set, and it was Ninotchka and Camille. I think it was Grand Hotel and Mata Hari. And I watched all four, like, bang, straight off, and I didn't like any of them. And I was kind of... I've always been a bit like, oh, Ninotchka, that's the boring one in the hotel room. Because for me, the first, like, half of the film is just them in and out of this hotel room, sort of arguing about their political sort of standings and stuff. And I didn't really get it. So I went back and watched it about a year after that because I was just, thirsty for these films. And I remember falling asleep during the first half of it. And since then, I think my opinion of it has been a little bit like, oh, that's the film that put me to sleep. That's the film where it's the Bolsheviks in Paris trying to experiencing life for the first time, and it just really didn't grab me. But I'm not going to give anything. Okay. I'm not going to give anything away.
Third time's the charm.
Well, I'm not going to give anything away. But after I finished with my other call this morning, I thought, right, Ninotchka today. So I watched it again with a fresh mind, and let's just say my opinion of it has vastly improved. So yes,
wonderful.
Oh, excellent!
So I'm awfully glad you brought this one to the table.
Well, I will do the same as you, and I won't give any rating until the end. But let me put it this way: this was my first time view of it. It's also my first ever Greta Garbo film.
Same here. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, first Garbo and first Ernst Lubitsch film for me. So.
Oh, wow.
I'd have to double check on that one, but I'm guessing it might be mine as well. But let me put it this way, Ali. We've had two guests on before. You are our third, and it's lovely to finally be able to have a guest on and talk about a good film. Because the other two were
Ali, so when was your first watch of this film, may I ask?
Literally last night.
Oh, okay. So you picked this basically on the theme because it tied in with a theme. You hadn't seen it before. Oh, right.
Yeah, it just kind of piqued my curiosity. The plot sounded interesting. I'd known about it for quite a while and thought, that sounds like it could be good. So, yeah, it was just the theme, so I just took a punt on it, and fortunately it wasn't awful.
See, when you suggested it, I just assumed that it was one of your favourites because of the subject matter.
No. This is just me taking a gamble.
Well, Adam, maybe this is the way to go going forward when we have guests on, is to just take a massive cunt. And
Yeah.
'cause
Pick something you like the look of, I think, is the way to go. Mind you, I have to say,
Yeah.
first guest was Stacey, and she asked me for a film about time travel. Now, time travel is a very hard thing to do in Golden Age of Hollywood. There was literally only
Right.
about three choices. I picked one that I was familiar with, and it was, bloody awful. I mean, just the cruddiest film. It just confirmed the back of my mind thinking that I'd had about. Oh, it's just awful. Oh, shudder. Anyway, let's not talk about that.
utter.
Yeah. The second one was Tom and his girl Friday, which was
All his fault.
oh god, I can't stand it. I'm sorry.
No, I can't either. No.
Yeah, that I do like that film. So I was quite surprised by like the utter drubbing you gave. But, I could see why you would take against it, but yeah, and I've only seen it the once, so I'm interested to see how I find it the second time. But I just enjoyed how like relentlessly like machine gunny the dialogue was. But
Do you know what? It's a film I know I should like, but I just can't. It's like if my kids said to me now, "Please, Dad, can we sit down and watch His Girl Friday?" We're really excited about it. I just have to say, "Look, Kissy, you're in for a disappointment," and I'd actually use the word as well.
And you're out of the will.
Yes. I just can't love it. I can't love it, and I've tried for many years.
No, I've tried 3 times, and that's enough for me. I'm never gonna watch that again.
I mean, you've given it a fair shake.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to. You know, one time you can be distracted, a second time you can be just not in the mood, and three I think is fair.
Which is why,
Yeah,
I'm glad Ninotchka. This is my third time watching it, and it.
Third time's the charm, yeah.
absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that about the scattergun sort of dialogue. At the very beginning of Ninotchka, I was starting to worry a little bit that this was going in sort of the same direction. Mm-hmm. Very quick dialogue, some one-liners coming thick and fast as well, and I was sort of like, oh no, are we in for another? And thankfully, we weren't. Because luckily, the Russians enter into it, and they like to talk quite slowly. So it's sort of like, oh, good. That's good. Yeah, I could live with this.
Before we get into the film, are there any admin things you need to clear up at the beginning of this episode, or are we skipping over that this time and just going straight into the film? I just wanted. I didn't want to leap in case you were going. We've got emails. Shut up.
We do have emails and we do have reviews and ratings to talk about, but I'm going to save it for the next episode.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
It's just because it takes up too much time otherwise. So
thanks for sending them, everyone. Apparently, they take up too much time for Smokey, though.
I find it. I mean, it's self-serving enough, but when you have a guest on, it's even more self-serving. So it's just you're going right. Hang on, you wait until people tell us how brilliant we are, and then we'll get back to you secondarily. And so it's just like, no, let's not do that.
When there's only 2 of us, he only reads the nice reviews about himself. A nice email about you, but you don't need it. Anyway, into this one from me. Smokey is a very lovely man and has lovely blue eyes.
You'll
Smokey,
be pleased to
I'm
know,
glad,
Adam.
I'm glad to be sparing you from having to read nice things about Adam out loud.
Look, I will put it on record here that there is a very nice email praising Adam spectacularly, which it will be read out on the next episode.
Oh, I would prefer that you didn't anyway.
See, this is what I do. I try.
What you could do, Smokey, is you could just censor absolutely everything except the beginning and the end.
Oh, very
nice.
timely.
Hi, Adam. Thanks. Name of correspondent.
No, I like it. I like your style,
it, Ali.
Ali. That's what I'm going to do from now on.
See, this is the kind of co-host you need, Smokey. Like a properly organised, researched person with a very nice voice and who can make timely gags like that. Not some old reprobate here with clinking ice cubes. Will
you let it go? No, yeah, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I'll just have to, just read out redacted emails from now on.
I think we'll just have Ali. We'll just have Ali as a guest every episode. Special guest this time, it's Ali from the Rooster Bars podcast. Ali, do you want to tell us a bit about?
Because Ali's here, we're not going to read emails again because they're all about Adam.
Our ex co-host.
No, but we can't. I mean, who wants to give us the plot of the film?
Well, I think the special guest should do that. If you don't mind, Ali, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll give it my best shot. All right, so we are in Paris just before the war, so kind of late 30s-ish. We have a trio of Soviet agents. They are on an important mission to pawn some Tsarist jewels in order to raise funds for the Soviet Republic and their continuing fight for world communism. And yeah, they are not very good at their jobs, so they screw up. So the powers that be send our titular heroine Nina or Ninotchka to supervise them, and yeah, in the process of supervising them, she meets I guess he's a nobleman. I'm not sure whether he's meant to be Russian or French. His surname suggests he's French, and she is slowly won over by his capitalist machinations, and they fall in love, and that's basically the plot in a nutshell.
And it's worth saying that she arrives and is one type of person, and by the time she leaves Paris is a completely transformed person. She's convinced by romance and colour and excess and capitalism and the Count, who I agree, it's never really stated, is it, what nationality he is. I'm going to go with French too, or some European Count anyway, played by Melvyn Douglas. He manages to bring colour to her life, and she realises that when she goes back to Russia after her adventures, shall we say, that life under the regime is not as wonderful as she thought it was before Paris.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
it. I mean, she's a communist robot when she arrives, isn't
Yeah.
she?
She's glorious.
I'm so glad you said robot, because what I thought of her characterization is at the beginning is she is essentially the Borg.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Perfect.
Yeah, she's unfeeling. There's no emotions. Everything is straight down the line. Everything is black and white. She is right and capitalism is wrong, basically. And I mean, it's a cliche, but cliches are there for a reason. Is that obviously she thaws from an ice cold robot woman into something more resembling a human woman. So
Yes.
For want of a better term.
Can I be of any assistance to you?
You might hold this for me.
I'd love to.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We are facing north, aren't we?
Facing north. Well, now, I'd hate to commit myself without my compass. Pardon me, are you an explorer?
No, I'm looking for the Eiffel Tower.
Good heavens, is that thing lost again? Are you interested in a view?
I'm interested in the Eiffel Tower from a technical standpoint.
Technical? No, I'm afraid I couldn't be of much help from that angle. You see, a Parisian only goes to the tower in moments of despair to jump off.
How long does it take a man to land?
Now, isn't that too bad? The last time I jumped, I forgot to time it. Let me see now, the Eiffel Tower. Your finger, please.
Why do you need my finger?
It's bad manners to point with your own. There, the Eiffel Tower.
And where are we?
Where are we? Now, let me see, where are we? Here we are. There you are, and here am I. Feel it?
I'm interested only in the shortest distance between these 2 points. Must you flirt?
Well, I don't have to, but I find it natural.
Suppress it.
I'll try.
For my own information, would you call your approach toward me typical of the local morale?
Mademoiselle, it is that approach which has made Paris what it is.
You're very sure of yourself, aren't you?
Well, nothing's happened recently to shake my self-confidence.
I have heard of the arrogant male in capitalistic society. It is having a superior earning power that makes you that way.
A Russian. I love Russians. Comrade, I've been fascinated by your 5-year plan for the last 15 years.
Your type will soon be extinct.
But I mean, it's something you see in various films, isn't it? The sort of fish out of water, adapting to their surroundings. I mean, it's nice, it works, it's easy. But there's something incredibly charming with the way that they do it in this film. And as you said, Melvyn Douglas is brilliant, by the way. He's
great.
wonderful.
Yeah,
He's very, very suave.
He's great in everything.
I thought, like, the first time you meet him, when he's it feels like he's trying to hoodwink the Russians and it felt like he was kind of pretending to be their pal, but then you kind of realise that actually no, he's actually just quite a nice man. He's just incredibly cocky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember what his line is. His line is like, it's something like, "I'm not trying to be a something. I'm just trying to be a nuisance."
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a diplomat or some. Yeah. It's right at the beginning, isn't it? In the hotel room.
Yeah, I mean, he comes off much better than I think she's the Grand Duchess, whose jewels are the ones that are being hawked. That's kind of like the MacGuffin of the whole plot is these jewels that the Soviet agents have come to sell.
Yeah.
But she's not very nice.
She's not, but I agree, and I was thinking, oh my god, this woman, she's an uber, but. But then when she gives you a little bit of her backstory about what has happened to her and her family and her ancestors and, you know, the parts of the country she was growing up in, and I did get a little bit of sympathy for her. But then she goes and ruins it all by throwing Ninotchka on a plane. And so I was sort of like, oh, well, I'm torn.
Yeah, and she kind of does sort of brag about how people used to serve her and how great that was, which doesn't endear her a ton.
No, it doesn't. And so I would say 70-30, I think I ended up at, between and just, oh, well, fair enough. So
Yeah.
She did have some bad breaks to deal with, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Great performance, though.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much everyone in this film is really, doing a bang-up job, I thought.
Especially Garbo, because when she first arrives in Paris, she has to be robotic. And it kind of suits her as well, because she was a fabulous actress, don't get me wrong, but there was always something quite artificial about her performances. If you watch things like Grand Hotel or Matahari, you never quite buy the character because she's always slightly a bit too theatrical, a bit too, oh, darling, and all this kind of thing. But in this, because her character is supposed to be restrained, just restrained as you get there. I don't want you moving your arms. I want you to, you're eagle-eyed action man. You don't turn your head. You turn your eyes to each character. It's very restrained. It's all internal.
Eagle-eyed action man.
That's basically what she's
You are
like.
the first person to ever compare Greta Garbo with Action Man.
I don't know.
Breaking new ground.
I don't know. Have you ever checked her listing on Wikipedia? I think
She was a silent star first, wasn't she?
Yeah, and big in Swedish theatre,
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't think her performances have particularly aged well. There are certain ones that have, and there are certain lines that she delivers that are very iconic. I want to be alone in Grand Hotel, of course, that kind of thing. And she quit early, which is the best thing you can do if you're that big of a star. You say, right, that's it. 1943, I'm off now, and people mourn the loss of you, and they lionize your movies. Ninotchka was 39, wasn't it? So almost at the end of her reign. But because she acts so robotic, my point was, because she acts so robotically, she doesn't get a chance to do all this flourishy stuff that she was, that kind of made her performances artificial. Instead, she has to act artificial, which in a way kind of cancels her artificiality out. It's very, very weird because I watched this.
Paradoxical.
Yeah, I watched this today and I was like, she's incredible as the restrained, repressed Russian. Why? And my brain was going, I just can't fathom that's Greta Garbo, because usually she's so hand to the brow and stuff, but now she's this robotic character. It seems to work much better for her, and then when she flowers later on in the film, you really buy it. So for me, this is probably her best performance. So very, very impressed by her this time.
It's also an interesting decision that they don't bring her into the film, even though she's the titular character, until 20 minutes in. We have just 20 minutes of not exactly messing around, but just kind of setting stuff up. So that almost because she's such an extreme character when she comes in, that almost makes it more noticeable that she has this like big entrance rather than she's there from the very beginning.
And also the characters that have set the story up are these, bumbling caricature kind of, very sort of, they're almost cartoonish. And then she arrives, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, you really get the contrast because you've had a little bit of time to get your head around who these guys are and just, their level of competence or lack thereof. So then having like the utter opposite and just the kind of straight down the line efficiency. Yeah. I do love the three Russian Stooges. I really
fabulous.
Enjoyed them. They're so fun.
They're so good. But did you find when she arrives and she's checking into the hotel and stuff and they're showing her around and stuff, her roboticness, shall we say, makes you really like you feel like you've been told off or chided and you're waiting for her to explode in fury. Like, how much is this room? She gets a typewriter around. How many F's in your name? It's like 2 F's.
She's definitely. She's radiating, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Oh yeah, it was pure headmistress style, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, I did feel told off by her. But I mean, obviously this is going to be no surprise because obviously, as you say, she's the titular character. And so for me personally, the film didn't really get going until she arrived on the scene. And as you say, it's about 20 minutes in or so. The only sort of real downside to the film, I thought, yes, I enjoyed the three Russians, the three Stooges, if you will, and they were great, but that opening 20 minutes, it was too long for me, personally. I thought if you'd cut it down, even by about 5 minutes or so, just set it up a bit more uniformly, if you will, I think that would have worked a bit better for her arrival. But as I said, that's only a minor complaint. But as you say, Adam, the sort of the part when she does flower, as you put it, is wonderful. I mean, that's absolutely wonderful. She just breaks and starts laughing, which was just.
This film was advertised as Garbo Laughs.
I saw that. I read that. Yeah.
Garbo Talks was, oh God, I'm going to screw this up. Anna Christie. Anna Christie, it was the first time she appeared in a sound film, and it was Garbo Talks. And it was Ninotchka. It was Garbo Laughs, because people were so unused to it. But I have to say,
not known for doing comedies up to this point.
No, it's like Garbo Walks.
Was she?
No. Yeah. I do agree with you about the first 20 minutes. I think the first act of this film is very uncharacteristically slow. Not slow, actually. It's too fast in a way. I don't think the introduction works particularly well, which is a real surprise, seeing as who scripted this thing and who directed this thing.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly ham-fisted.
It's bizarre. Actually, I was thinking pretty much exactly the same thing, is that the start is slow and fast at the same time. So it takes too long to get where it's going, but what's happening on screen is really quick. So that's a weird juxtaposition right there. But just one other thing I was going to say was that it was the two scenes that just kind of made me fall in love with Ninotchka. One was the one I previously mentioned, is the one where she just breaks laughing. That's absolutely wonderful. I loved it. But the second was the weird firing squad scene.
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing I'm going to remember about this film.
I mean, so for context, for those who don't know it, they're kind of play acting, aren't they, when they're drunk, and she's sort of saying she's giving a speech to her comrades, and then she lines up against a wall with a blindfold around her, and then he pops a champagne cork to signify being shot. But it's the fact that she is now so free and drunk, obviously, but that she does still keep playing along. And it was just, that kind of melted my heart a little bit. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, but it's also very dark at the same time.
Very much so.
Because she's talking about, because she's very conflicted. Because on the one hand, she's fallen in love with this guy. She's fallen in love with Paris and the more human, more joyous elements of life there.
Yeah.
Because she previously thought that was all, overrated guff or whatever. Yeah. But she is super conflicted about having let down her comrades. So she's kind of like, I deserve to be shot.
Yeah. but she is being shot by for quote unquote capitalism, isn't she? So it's sort of like there was just I know it's a bit
shot by a champagne bottle, and the Freudian,
that's what I mean.
the Freudian like layers in that scene.
I know it's
just,
a bit. I know it's
a little bit.
Yeah, but it's just. But there was just something about it. There was just sort of like this is really sweet, but as you say, dark but really sweet.
The writing team on this, Wilder and is it Charles Brackett as well. I mean, Wilder didn't really start directing until after 1939, but I do think that his words work best when he's directing them. I love Lubitsch, don't get me wrong, and Shop Around the Corner is top 5 movie of all time for me, and Trouble in Paradise, equally. I mean, that's probably number 4 in the world for me. So Lubitsch is extraordinary, but I do think that Wilder always worked better when he was directing in his own words. It didn't matter what it was. I think he's criminally overlooked as well when it comes to the 20th century golden age directors. Yeah, so everyone always says Hitchcock or, God, it's the way my brain works. I can't think of anyone but Billy Wilder and Hitchcock right now.
Kubrick, let's say Kubrick.
Yeah, Kubrick.
Ed Wood.
Or Capra, or Wilder or someone. But people always go, oh yeah, Billy Wilder. The Apartment. Oh yeah, Billy Wilder. A Foreign Affair. Every single film that guy directed was just bang, 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 and so caustic. And what I love about this film so much is all the jabs. I mean, this is pre-war. It came out in November, but the war only really kicked off in September, and the US still weren't in it. And yet, you have...
Well, and the Soviet Union's not in it yet.
Exactly. And there you have this movie, which just, has the biggest female star in the world, is a sparkling comedy. And the gag at the train station at the beginning just made me go, whoa, that's so brave. Yeah. Like when they're following that guy to see if he's the comrade. Yeah. And then he just Hitlers.
He looks like a comrade, yeah.
And he Hitlers to the guy, and they go, oh no, it's definitely not.
Not so much.
Not so much that one.
That must be the one. Yes, he looks like a comrade. Yes.
Hitler.
No, that's not him.
Positively not.
What are we going to do now?
I don't know.
This is... We must have missed him. What's it? Be the one who sent on.
I'm looking for Michael Simonovich Ironov.
I am Michael Simonovich Ironov.
I'm Nina Ivanovna Yakushova, envoy extraordinary, acting on the direct orders of Comrade Commissar Rosinin. Present with your colleagues.
Comrade Bolyanov.
Comrade.
Comrade Kopalsky.
Comrade.
What a charming idea for Moscow to surprise us with a lady, comrade.
If we had known, we would have greeted you with flowers.
Don't make an issue of my womanhood. We're here for work, all of us. Let's not waste any time. Shall we go?
Porter, here, please.
What do you want?
May I have your bags, madame?
Why?
He's a porter. He wants to carry them.
Why? Why should you carry other people's bags?
Well, that's my business, madame.
That's no business. That's social injustice.
That depends on the tip. Allow me, comrade.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So
well,
good.
that kind of relates also to the title card at the beginning, doesn't it? About the when you refer to a siren, I'm talking about a brunette, or if a lamp gets put out and things like that. Yeah.
Yes, and when a Frenchman turns out a light, it's not because of an air raid.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of cool though. I like that. It didn't need to give me a specific year, but it gave me a great foothold in time.
Yeah,
that was
very
good.
efficient.
Very much so. Just referring back to what we briefly mentioned earlier, I was just having a look at my little list. This is actually my 4th Lubitsch film that I've seen, so I'm doing all right.
I think we've
So
watched
this
a
and
few
then
at
the
Film Club.
Well, Shop Around the Corner, Trouble in Paradise, and then To Be or Not to Be. So
Yeah, we did all those at Film Club. Yeah, you're right.
we did. Yeah, you are helping my education in so many ways, Adam.
I don't think I am.
It's your film club.
Thank you.
While you die there, you're all right.
My chest is so clogged up. I don't know. Continue.
More gin.
That's what it needs. Gin and ice.
Maybe you
Gonna
should
say
go on to the vodka.
TB is more of a 19th century Russian trope.
You know.
Well, actually, that's a very good point. Actually, so you're obviously your expertise on the sort of the Russian side of things, Ali. But where does this sit? Did it satiate your desire for Russianness?
Yeah, what was your take?
Yeah,
on
I think it did. I think I
fable.
was surprised that it was like reasonably nuanced for a Hollywood film. Like, I wonder if this had been produced post-war, it might have like been a bit more like the Russians are the baddies. Because, like, don't get me wrong, it takes a right pop at communism, and fair enough, but it also doesn't portray the Russians as being all alike or all a certain way. It does make them very, very human. And I really like it's very brief, but the brief scene between Ninotchka and her flatmate, essentially.
With the negligee.
Just a very well, yeah. I was more thinking like when she's initially introduced and they're just chatting and catching up because she's been away on her mission, and just like the affection there, and it's just nice to see Russians in a Hollywood film portrayed as like actual human beings and not like weird communist robots. I mean, yes, Nina's a communist robot to begin with, but there's kind of more to it than that.
I feel the same, because when she got back to Russia, the scene where she has them over for an omelette, and they're having a sing-song kind of thing, and the guy keeps walking through the room, and every time he walks in, it just shuts the mood down. It's almost like that guy was the Hollywood stereotype version of what communism was. Didn't you find? Right. It's like, because I never assumed that anyone in communist Russia would get together of an evening and sing a song, and obviously they did. Because they were humans, and they're painted as these, like, for want of a better word, robots, and evil robots at that. And you think, well, communism is this, and they're all, they go to work and then they lie flat on their backs on the floor and wait until the day the sun comes up and then they start working again. It really wasn't the case at all. And like you say, it does humanize the people that were in Russia at the time, which I thought was a really lovely, sweet touch. But even though it is tinged with darkness, you could see why they all want to escape. It's very clever.
It does capture the darkness of that time, because that was, the like 36 to 38 was the time of like the great Stalinist purge, when you were genuinely very worried that your neighbours might like denounce you, and you'd be kind of,
because you had a book on your shelf, or a piece of negligee on your washing line.
Yeah,
there's a scene earlier on which when I was watching it, I thought might have been a little controversial for the time. You'll have to tell me. Which is when Gaston, who is Leon's butler, says, he's found that he's been reading a communist book. And Leon kind of freely admits that there are actually some good ideas in communist teachings. You're just being a reactionary to whatever I'm doing, that kind of thing. Don't you just want to turn around and kick me in the pants? Don't you want to do that? Don't you want to be on a level footing? And of course, he's not a communist. And so Gaston's going, no. But for a film in 1939, that's got to be a little on the nose, hasn't it? For a society that is very much anti-communism.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting, that it isn't all one way of him totally converting her to capitalism without anything coming back the other way.
He is that in love that he is actually learning more about her ways and her society. And I thought, well, that's actually really forward thinking.
Yeah,
it's like someone converting to a new religion for someone they're marrying. It's a bit like that. And I was just sort of thinking, well, I can imagine there'd be quite a lot, and especially Americans, who would be rather off with that scene, I think.
Yeah, like that's why I said if this was made in the 50s, I don't think you would have gotten away with having a sympathetic character read Karl Marx and go, this isn't all rubbish.
It's very strange, isn't it? It really does illustrate the fact or the power of Hollywood propaganda at the time, because no one was really showing what Nazis were like until about 37, 38, when Warner Brothers stepped up and did Confessions of a Nazi Spy, and they were like, look, we need to paint these guys as they are. And no more messing around, no more invisible agent Nazis being kicked up the bum kind of thing. Let's properly show them as evil. And you have this kind of playful, aren't they ridiculous, for goose-stepping kind of sense of humour during the 30s. And then 39 onwards, it's all like, no, there are no nice Nazis. Films portrayed in Nazi Germany have, even kids are insidious spies working for the man, the state, and all this kind of thing. Ninotchka strikes me as kind of a last gasp at poking fun at them in a loving way, in a kind of playful way. It's almost like they do it to Nazis in it, and they do it to communism in it, and it, like you say, it's extraordinarily hard to imagine. Even a year after this film was being made, it being this kind of loving or humanizing them in such a way, it would have been, they're just evil. Everyone's evil in this thing.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just something that impressed me, that's all. I mean, it wasn't just the Ruskies are bad. It wasn't that at all. And I was sitting there just sort of watching this going, well, bloody hell, they're right. They're not all evil. As you say, they're not. As you say, they're humans as well, and they're having to deal with this ridiculous regime that's been placed on top of them. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great way of doing it.
Yeah, I found the line that probably touched me the most in the whole film was, I think it's Bulyanov who says it, the guy with the pince-nez, or pince-nez, or however you say that kind of glasses. But he says, they can't censor our memories, can they?
Isn't that a beautiful scene? Because
that's a wonderful line.
It's when they've just had that meal, haven't they? And they all, the party's over kind of thing, and they must go home. And they all shake her hand, and they're so... They've grown to love her so much, and it's just a real act of respect, the way they shake her hand. In the first one, goodbye, and the second one, goodbye. And he shakes her hand and says goodbye, and then he goes to leave, and then turns around, doesn't he? He comes back to her and says, they can't censor our memories, because this letter that she's been sent from the Count has been completely censored by the Russian government. And he says, they can't censor our memories. And the look that passes between them, and he takes her hand again and shakes it once more. And it's such a poignant, heartbreaking, beautiful little moment. Yeah, it's a real treasure of a scene there.
It is. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I like those three. They are bumbling, but there's also there's a bit more to them than that.
Yeah.
They are like the Three Stooges at the beginning. That's the issue. Is they walk into the film and they're kind of they're all talking over each other. It's very, very quick, and the whole setup of the film is given in dialogue, and it's all like 3 or 4 minutes, and you really kind of like, I'm not sure I'm going to warm to these guys because they've just rushed through this whole setup of the film. But as you say, as the film goes on, and you learn more about them, and they become more human by the end. Yeah,
I really love that opening scene, though. I thought it was so funny that two of them are kind of trying to figure out how much they can take advantage of this business trip being on the company expenses, whereas the one guy, Bulyanov, who is more straight-laced, is yeah, but should we? And then they're kind of okay, well, how are we going to talk him round? And it's oh yeah, well, if Lenin were here, he'd tell you this. And he's yeah. They're Lenin would want you to think of the prestige of the Soviet people, and he's oh yeah, okay, good point. I feel my place is for with the common people, but who am I to disagree with Lenin?
Yeah.
It's Lenin didn't say that. You supposed that he said that so that you could stay in the nice hotel.
It was that if you ring 3 times, you get a French maid, and they go, oh, okay.
What happens if you ring the bell 9 times?
We all know what happens then.
Yeah.
And then there's a callback later where they are in the room, and you just have have the maids coming and bringing them different things, and you just see the door, and you just have all this laughter and
Oh my God,
revelry
that's
sounds
such a good
emanating
scene.
from behind the door.
That's a
But
great scene.
it's stereotypical even of times now, wouldn't it be? If you're like in a quote unquote gentleman's club, if that you just saw a door and different people going in, it'd be "Ray!" every time. If it was beer, or if it was food, or if it was cigarettes, or if it was very attractive women bringing you all this stuff, every time they walked through the door, it'd be a "Ray!" And it was just like, yeah, that was awesome. I didn't need to see what was going on in that room at all.
No, I think it almost worked, because you do later see them all passed out on the floor, but I think the
Sure.
joke works better that you can only just hear this good time that's being had.
Very much so.
That's a real
Yeah.
Lubitsch touch, actually. There's a scene in Trouble in Paradise where there's this whole romance that happens, and it's all done on a clock face. You just see the clock going to 6 p.m. and you see the two shadows coming together like this to kiss, and then it cuts to it goes ahead to 9 p.m. and there's one shadow there, and she's waiting for the other shadow to come. It's genius. But Lubitsch is all about these visual flourish things. You know, I'll film a door. We don't actually need to see what's happening inside. You'll know what's happening inside.
I will say though, something that also did really sort of warm my heart, my cold heart, was as you say, she obviously warms to Leon when she sort of starts falling for him as well. But going to the scene that we just mentioned at the end with the three Stooges, she greets them with such warmth, and she gives them all a hug, and it's welcome. Oh, how are you rascals, or whatever she calls them, and it was just like, oh, she's thawed with them as well. She's not the strict headmistress anymore, and it was just like, it was great.
Didn't you find her scene when she's ordered by Bela Lugosi? We haven't even mentioned him yet. He's great.
Of course,
He's
yeah.
great in this, I think. You know, he's
only in it for a couple of minutes.
Genius.
I was gonna say he is not doing a ton of work for his fourth billing.
No,
but
very much so.
But what a great piece of casting, though. Bela Lugosi as the uptight, Russian Soviet keeper upper of the morals kind of thing. But her scene with him,
I couldn't believe it. I knew he was in it, and so I was waiting to see him.
Oh
And
yeah, it's like,
yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. I recognised his voice before I recognised him.
yeah, because we see him side on,
Yeah.
like for quite a long time, and Bela Lugosi is all about those eyes, so you're not seeing him full in the face. It's kind of like, I think that's him.
Where are the torchlights?
Yeah.
Well, it was literally because obviously very recently we just done for the House of Hammer, we've done the Mystery of the Mary Celeste, and obviously he's the main part in that, and so his voice is just in my head right now. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh, hello, there he is," and it was like, "Oh, there he is," and doesn't he look dapper in his uniform? I was like, "Yeah." Good
That
to see
scene
Bela.
where,
Sorry, Adam. I interrupted.
No, I was going to say that scene where he orders her to go to Constantinople and bring them back, and she knows that they've up. Basically, she knows. They've gone over there. They were supposed to be selling furs. They've gone over there, and they're not doing that. They're getting drunk on our money. We want them back, and basically that means that she's got to go over there and ship her 3 pals over to be shot. She knows
wondering why they can't make a carpet fly. I love that bit.
That's such a wild.
Also, though, tough gig though, selling furs in Istanbul. That's got to be a tricky one, because I mean, I looked it up, and the winters don't get that cold out there.
You're so well researched, Pitts.
Bloody hell!
I was just like,
Pitt, that is too much research.
That is too much. That is my pedantic side.
Checking out weather patterns.
I looked.
Yeah,
I
and I mean,
looked.
I understand you don't wear a fur coat purely for the warmth. It's for the prestige and the look. I can afford a fur coat, but that did strike me as a slightly tough gig.
Full respect to you, Comrade Ali. I'm very impressed, mate.
Well, I'm very diligent, like Comrade Nina.
Sorry, Adam,
It's
we
like
keep
her,
interrupting you.
I really enjoy her exasperation when she gets there and like, you didn't hire a lawyer?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
But her, when she realizes that she's got to go and have her friends executed, and she says to him, "Please don't. I don't want to do this job. I want to stay here and do this book work kind of thing." You can see a little heartbreaking because she's just had this beautiful dinner with them and this lovely moment with Felix Bressart, and she knows they f***ed up, and and she's got to go over there and basically condemn them. And she's like, please don't send me. And he's this, the cold face of Russia, and sends her anyway. And she gets there, and she's so resigned to her fate, which is what makes that ending scene just so beautiful, because you can see the playfulness in their eyes. They're like, we've got a secret for you. You're going to love this. Your life's about to change, and you just don't know it. It's such a lovely ending.
Can I ask you to, because I missed it. I don't know what happened, but can someone please explain the end to me?
What about it?
Do you mean the very end?
Yes, I mean the fact that one seems ostracized from the other two. Sorry.
Yeah, it's an odd note to end it on, isn't it?
Yeah. It was. If it had ended with her kissing Melvin Douglas, I think it would have been. It was a gag to show. There was a thing at the time about people protesting outside restaurants with this cafe is unfair to ... to me because they bar me. So when you look at they mentioned that they've opened a restaurant together, and there are 3 of them, and the guys, the two of the names are in lights, and the other lights have gone out. The other lights gone out.
I wasn't sure why the third was on his own.
No, so basically his lights have gone out. So he's outside. He's outside picketing the restaurant. This is unfair because my lights have gone out.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. It was as you say. If they end on their embrace and them kissing, that's the end of a romantic comedy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very, very. It's not made clear. I actually had to look that up. So I was like, what? What's has he turned on his friends?
It was a reference to something, but I'm not well enough versed in 30s culture to know what this is.
Do you know what would have worked better? If all of the names had been lit up, and then you'd watch the bottom name pop out like that, and then he would have walked out, put his board on and gone, this is unfair to me, or something. Perhaps that would have made it a bit more clear. But basically, he's picketing the restaurant they've opened together,
right? Because
his name hasn't come up in lights and theirs have.
I just thought I maybe missed a bit of dialogue that explained it or something. It just confused me. I was just sort of but also it doesn't really impact the story, does it? I mean,
not at all.
They could have.
It's a very weird note to end on.
It's just fill in the blank. Why did they have this falling out? They seemed like such pals.
Yeah. So,
very odd.
I was just a little confused, that's all. But thank you for clearing it up, though. I appreciate that. Because I wasn't going to look it up. And I certainly wasn't going to look up weather patterns in Istanbul either.
Well, you're just not prepared enough, that's all.
Yeah. Well, as I said, ramshackle is us at our best. So.
Very true.
But no, as my first Greta Garbo film, I'm very happy it was this one, I must admit.
Oh, good. Yeah, me too. I enjoyed it a lot. I would say the one kind of thing that I thought doesn't play too well to a modern audience is the Count's insistence that Nina smile for him. I was like, oh, that puts my back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just smile, love. And I'm just like, no.
Fair enough.
But then, as we said earlier, I mean, he is very cocky, isn't he? So.
Oh yeah.
So he always will. I mean, I guess you got to give him a little bit of credit for being forthright. I suppose he's being honest, at least.
Well, my problems with the film are, I think the first act is it's a bit of a mishmash, but it's very uncharacteristic for a Billy Wilder script, I think. Usually they're just snap, 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 and within 5 minutes you're just so hooked. But the thing I always remembered about this film was the dull hotel stuff about who's suing who and who can't do what and who's sending a telegram to blah, blah, blah. And I have to say, I didn't have any of those issues this time. I think my memory has been playing tricks on me. But I do think that the beginning is not perfect, but I can't say I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I looked at the running time of this. Is 1 hour 50 or something, and
1:46, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. When you hit 15 to 20 minutes, it's just non-stop enchantment for the rest of the film. It's a beautiful, lovely, gorgeous film, and I'm so happy that you brought it to the table, Ali, because I may well have gone through life neglecting it otherwise.
Writing it off as just dull and
it's
tedious.
that hotel room
I've got to give it credit though. I mean, here, look. I mean, none of us will ever be rich enough to stay in a place like that. But holy, I thought it looked great. It's like, yeah, bring it. Although, do you see that bit where Leon, when she's drunk and he places her on the bed, and it's a double bed. It's the smallest double bed I've ever seen. There is no way he could have fit on there. Actually, that was it. Her flatmate in Russia. After she wants her nightie or a dress or whatever it is, and then she sort of says, "What else did you get while you were in Paris?" And obviously, too many dirty jokes just came into my head instantly at that moment. So. I'm a bad man.
Sure.
Well, they do have a bit of a crack at the French for the stereotypical French reasons, like when Leon is talking to the three comrades and basically saying, "You're gonna lose the court case because the French courtroom will just see a woman in a nice dress and
she'll
just
hitch
be
her
like,
dress up."
Yeah, what are you going to do? Hitch up your trousers? What are you expecting that to achieve? And I'm like, oh yeah, the French do have a certain reputation.
Well, I mean, it's a strong stereotype, though, isn't it? I mean, it's one that, whether unfair or fair, is widely recognised. So you may as well take it and run with it.
Yeah,
you may,
absolutely.
You may as well. But no, I just thought, as I say, yeah, I have no real complaints apart from just that opening 20 minutes or so. Just a bit more tightening, fine, but then dive straight in. Because I was thoroughly impressed by it.
Well, it was a very middling score from me before Ali brought this as I had to rewatch it, and now it's in no way that anymore. It's properly up there. I loved it.
Fair enough. So shall we go on to ratings? Unless anyone has any other things to bring up.
Go for it.
Okay. Well. Guess first, Ali. We rate out of 10 on this show because we're not children and don't do out of 5 because that's ridiculous. So out of 10 for Ninotchka, please, Ali.
I'm going to give it a very creditable 7.5.
Fair enough. Adam.
I'm going to give this an 8. I really liked it. I really, really liked it. And by far my favourite Greta Garbo film. And yeah, really, really moved by it this time. And thank you, Ali, for bringing it to the table. Because you've resurrected a like a bogey film for me, and it's cool. I loved it.
I mean, technically, it's also my favourite Greta Garbo film.
Oh, mine too.
Yeah, see? so we come to that. Yeah, I honestly, I knew nothing about this going in. I was completely naive to everything it was about. Yeah, tight in the beginning, and you've got a 10 out of 10 movie. I adored this. I absolutely adored it. It's a 9. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
I thought it was beautiful. And the Greta Garbo and who played Leon? Sorry, I've forgotten his name.
Melvin Douglas, I think.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, it was just what a great pairing. They had amazing chemistry, and the film just worked. And I thoroughly enjoyed the entire thing. It was wonderful. Yeah, so thank you, Ali. What a great pick.
I'm so relieved because as I said, it was a punt. I mean, based on the personnel involved, I thought it wasn't a complete stab in the dark.
I thought you were talking about me and Adam.
No. Perish the thought.
Yeah, just a delight. And I think I will be buying it as well because I will want to watch it again.
Awesome.
Although I will say I rented it off Amazon Prime, and the quality of the print on there is excellent. I was very impressed. So yeah, it's a thorough recommend.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So before I give Adam the genre for the next episode, Ali, do you want to pimp your show and everything else to all our listeners?
Sure. So you can find my podcast, Russophals Unite. I technically call it the Russophals Unite Movie Podcast, just so people know that it's about films. But you can find that on any podcatcher or wherever you get your podcasts. I also do another show that is very different. It's a track-by-track REM podcast called Gentlemen Don't Get Caught, which is very ramshackle and rambling, but it's good fun. So yeah, that's where you can find me, and I'm on Twitter at Alistair_Pitts and also at Roosevels U. That's the letter U at the end. So if you want to say hi, that's where you can find me.
That's wonderful. Yeah, sorry, did you say an REM podcast?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that at all. How long's that been going for?
So that's been going, just about over a year now. Yeah, my friend Lynn, who's been a guest on Roosevelt quite a few times, he suggested last year that we do that. So we've just been going track by track from, the beginning of their career, and we're now up to, we're just recording episodes from Out of Time, so we're finally a famous album. But
album.
No, I've really, really been enjoying it. So it's been good fun. I mean, we go on very bizarre tangents, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it.
Tangents? No, we never do.
We don't do that.
We don't
ever talk about Smokey and his prostitute habit.
No, never talk about that. No, but no, that's great. Well, there you go, people. Everyone, check that out. So, Adam, time to put you on the spot again.
Okay.
Don't sound too excited.
Okay. Yoo-hoo!
There we go. Okay. So for next time,
once more with feeling and all that.
once more with feeling. We haven't done it in a little while. We've sort of skirted around it with noir and whatnot. But after how well episode 1 went down with everyone, I want a full-on, proper, hardcore thriller, please, sir.
Thriller. Mm-hmm. When you say thriller,
we did Obsession.
Do you mean? Yeah, we did Obsession, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want it now?
It's up to you, my friend. It's your show too.
I'm going to go with Foreign Correspondent, Alfred Hitchcock, 1940.
Bloody hell, we're going back to Hitchcock already.
We are going back to Hitchcock already, I'm sorry. But I've been dying to bring this one to the table. And I did go, no, don't hit, you, Adam, Foreign Correspondent. That was what my brain actually said at that moment. So, Foreign Correspondent, which is, oh my God,
it's wonderful.
It's so good. You're going to love this movie.
It's one of the few that I've already seen. So yeah, I'm more than happy to revisit.
This isn't going to be the Hitchcock show, but when you say thriller, I mean you're kind of narrowing it down. I mean, 50% of your choices will always be Hitchcock in the golden age. So
well, not if you continue like this. We'll have gone through them all in about 2 months.
I have to get Foreign Correspondent in there if I can. I was slightly restrained last time because you said British, so to be man who knew too much, which is also British. But no. Yeah. I'm saying, if you give me the chance to do thriller, then please, I have to get Foreign Correspondent in while I can.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, look, you know me. I'm more than happy to revisit Hitchcock anytime you wish. So there we go. Foreign Correspondent next. Love it.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, it's Mr. Host. Time to close us out, I think.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Ali.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been wonderful, Ali.
Ali, you are a true gentleman and a good friend to both of us and a good friend to the show, and my eternal thanks for having appeared today, and I hope you have a lovely
you're more than welcome to join
ahead.
us once again as well. Please do.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So much. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been absolute joy.
We love you to bits, Ali, and
we do.
You're a regular contributor to Film Club as well, so it's lovely to spend most of our Sunday nights.
I pop my head round the door now and again. Yeah,
like many do.
I'm usually very quiet because I haven't. It'll be the first time I've seen the film.
Yeah.
I'm rather underwatched in terms of like the golden age, so I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to catch up on all these films that I haven't seen. So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Will you be joining us tomorrow night?
I don't know at this point because I think I have to. I've said I'm going to review. Oh, what's it even called? Proud Valley. I've said I'm reviewing that for Talking Pictures TV podcast, which I haven't contributed anything to for over a year now, and it's like, oh, I really want to watch that film. So yeah,
that's cool. Well, we're watching Notorious.
If I say I'm going to review it, then I have to watch it.
Fair enough.
Cool, yeah. Well, maybe we'll see
we'll
it
be
there. Maybe we won't. But of course, we'll always be there, bumming around at the front of the Well, I'm not at the front. Smokey and Stacey are always sitting at the back throwing popcorn at my
We're
head.
on the back row.
You're at the back operating the projector.
No, I'm at the back throwing out swear words. So, yeah, and making people feel rather uncomfortable. But that's just kind of my job, so it's fine. It's what Adam employed me for, so it's fine.
That was literally it. Professional, please. £5 per hour.
Ding, ding, ding.
You think of no one better.
I don't know whether that's a compliment or not.
He's very good at what he does. Let's just say.
Where Adam's concerned, that's a compliment.
Thank you. Anyway, this has been All the Best Lines. Thank you so much for joining us, Ali. Thank you, Smokey.
cheers,
As always, you're the loveliest.
Of course.
And all the best.
Lies.
I like Bernard and Deirdre. They sound like a nice couple down the working man's club.
Yeah.
What about 50 for a brandy? You go off. That's Bernard for you.
Yeah.
Deirdre sits there scratching her.
Hey.
What? That's me. What do you mean? You're married to me. You married this.
And you never let me forget it, do you?
Hello again. I do hope you enjoyed this feed takeover, and I hope you'll check out more episodes of All the Best Lines if you enjoy classic Hollywood films. If you're a new listener to this show, or you've not explored our back catalogue thoroughly, you may be interested to know that one of the All the Best Lines hosts, Adam Roche, guested on our episode on King Vidor's adaptation of War and Peace starring Audrey Hepburn, so please do check that out if you haven't already. If you like Ninotchka, I'd highly recommend seeking out the Projection Booth episode on the film as well, which features a great discussion of the film, plus an interview with Professor Joseph McBride, who has written books on Ernst Lubitsch and Billy Wilder. You can find links to all of those in the show notes to this episode. Okay, that's all from me. I hope you're keeping well. Das Vidania, folks.